The following podcast is rated G for gammon. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or gammon audiences.
Say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. Always say true God.
Seriously? Say true God.
God. We're back. Say true God. Them yarns.
Say true God.
God. Always say true God. Them yarns.
Say true God.
God. We're back.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, am I starting?
Yeah, yes, you're on, brother.
Oh, my
The mic's
goodness.
on. Let's go. Let's ode.
That was a new one. I can't hear it properly. You know I'm deaf. You got to time me in. I was ready. I had a big deadly speech all prepared for the introduction, and then no, didn't happen.
The best part is I'm not going to edit this out. I'm just going to leave this bit
This
in.
is why we're the Blak podcast. She doesn't tell me when I'm supposed to come in. She knows I'm deaf. We literally just talked about me not being able to hear properly, and she's like, "Oh, then you go on your intro." So I'm like, "Well, where's my secret hand signal?"
Dart. And I even set you up with a new intro song by
Yeah,
our
send me the new intro
our
song, so I don't
man
know when it's
Courage.
finishing. Yeah, Dudley, thank you very much, Courage.
Yeah.
Shout out, that was Dudley.
It's a remix. It's got a little bit of Aaron Agus in there, a little bit of me. We thought we'd change up. It's been a year, basically, since I've had this podcast. Since I started and then left it and then started again. And then I got a new podcast co-host. And then last week we lost our episode. So thanks to everyone that understood, because this is the Blak Hours podcast. And 1 year later, we've got the remix for the intro song. So, okay, you do the intro. Ready, set, go.
No, I'm not even going to start it, so we're already in it.
We're in it now.
But
It's too late.
yes, it is your Dudley co-host, Aaron Nagus here with you this evening. And with me is my adaptable producer, co-host, writer. She writes all the themes. She does all the editing.
Can you tell
I'm
everyone
just
what
a
you
pre-
found out
I'm-
tonight
I'm
about
just
the
a pretty
podcast?
face. I'm just a pretty face of the podcast, which, as you can tell, is still not on video. So that's why it's still audio.
Tell everyone what you found out about our podcast tonight.
So if you're like me and you just go to the podcast and press play, there's a whole lot of information in there. If you just click on the little dots good ways and just follow the thing, there's chapters, there's comments underneath it. There's a whole other world in this podcast game, but
Yep.
I've just been press and play and press and pause and press and fast forward and press and rewind. So, I don't press fast forward in ours. I press fast forward in other people's because I have ADHD and I like to play people's voices fast, so it goes through my brain quicker. But yes, so yeah, there's explore. You can find out what the chapters are beforehand. All these sorts of cool things that I didn't know about.
Aaron had no idea that I take the time to write descriptions of each episode for all of you listening.
Yes.
He just presses play and just rocks up in his laundry and does the podcast each week from his house, and I do it from mine. And this is our Black podcast. We're back anyway.
Yep.
So this
we're
week,
back.
brother.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got to talk about the last 2 weeks because they didn't get to hear how we were last week, and they might be missing out.
Well,
So
what a past 12, 14 days we've had in the world. Oh my goodness.
crazy. It's been absolutely crazy. The world is crazy, and I can't wait to do a bit of a check-in with you later.
Yeah.
But before we get into the check-in, because we don't want to be too serious straight away, we're going to get in. Actually, we are going to be serious. We're going to talk about Blak Business. You got a Blak Business.
I do.
I got a Blak Business. My Blak Business is sitting on pause as it has been because I'm just too slack to do anything with it.
Come
But
on.
I got one. If anybody wants to hire me for something, I dance, I sing.
Hey.
I do co-host on podcasts. I do a bunch of other stuff. So
Selling yourself real big here on this podcast.
yeah, I
You're,
know. This is free advertising. I should have been doing this a long time ago. But yes, so we talked about Blak Business, and obviously you've got your deadly business that you mostly work in Southeast Queensland. Have you been going further than that lately?
Yeah, I have. So obviously I have a weaving business. I've been doing weaving for a long time, well before it was I call it my accidental business because it was never meant to be a business. I didn't set out to have it as a business. It was just something that I did with my elders and my family and for my friends and people. Then the demand started happening, and also the cost of living crisis. So I was like, oh, this is actually helping to keep a roof over my head. So, yeah, I work hard so my dogs can live a nice life, you know?
Yes, good on you, sister. That's totally.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so we were talking about last week when nobody heard what we were talking about. One of the things we talked about was like having a black business and coming up to NAIDOC week. So tell us what that is like, because obviously you got this diddly weaving business. It's very inclusive, it's easy to do within an office space. You can do it in a park, you can do it in an office,
Yeah.
but what's it like, in the lead up to NAIDOC week for you?
Well, before I had my weaving business, I've always been a black person. So the thing is like, as a black fella, with any sort of, I guess, profile, any sort of business, if you're a spokesperson, like I've done a fair few things over the years when it comes to like radio industry, to my CJ's Vine stuff, to anything and everything. So I've always got the call up for something come NAIDOC, I think every black fella has. So now with my business, I know like that's a busy time. Like, you just know when your busy periods are, but it's cheeky sometimes. Like NAIDOC, we always know it's the first week of July, right? Everyone knows that.
It's been the same for
been the same.
decades now.
And everyone knows that, and I feel like mainstream Australia is starting to know that, corporate Australia, whoever like that wants to engage with black fellas and black business. And they will always come looking for services from your business or you within like a month of NAIDOC. Sometimes the week before. Like I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
We exist outside of these days of celebration.
These 2 special weeks or special celebrations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I call it Black Christmas.
It is Black Christmas.
It really is.
I love NAIDOC. Yeah. So being in identified roles throughout my life, and most of my experience with NAIDOC is I've been on like the local committees, right? So organizing whatever community NAIDOC days we have. If you haven't been to a NAIDOC day, I really would encourage you to do so. They're deadly, whether you're black or white. It's very inclusive. But you're right. It is. There's always things about mob like, does anybody know a good artist, or anybody know somebody who can play the didge, or there's always some random Facebook post because people get to like 2 weeks out, 1 week out, like, oh no, we got to do something deadly for NAIDOC again, and they're just not ready for it.
Oh, it's come up so fast. Yeah, it does every single year, but yet you don't like prepare for it. NAIDOC prep should start after NAIDOC week finishes, just in my own opinion.
Yes, yeah. So at my work, we tried to be a bit more organized this year. We have been so far. Last year was a massive rush trying to order things and get things in on special whatever. But I think there is some lessons learnt this year, and we've managed to get most of the stuff booked within a few weeks of NAIDOC. So fingers crossed everything goes well. But mostly, fingers crossed, all the black businesses get booked out for the weeks and the months ahead. Is where we're going with that. But I think the reason why I wanted to talk about black business is because there's a few. While I love black business, and we talked about Black Love 2 weeks ago, and part of Black Love is supporting black business. There's 2 things I always like to think of when we talk about people with small businesses. Is one, I don't like when people ask for discounts from people with black businesses. Like, come on, can you look after us? I'm like, they're already a small business. Like, go ask Woolies for a discount. They're the ones making billions. So please, I know everybody's trying to save money in a cost of living crisis, but the businesses you're supporting also need that money. So
can I say what's worse is when a black fella will ask you to do that. When I'm on our own mob, and I know I do discounts for mob, like it's just what I do, and it depends on the group, right? If it's a community group, if it's a school group, youths, blah blah blah, community stuff, elders, obviously, I will always do a discounted price. I will always do the best I can, and I rarely will ever make money on those things. It's because I'm doing it for the community event. But when people I've had it done before, and even this year I've had people asking me, but this is our budget, could you do it within I'm like, okay, if that's your budget, like I'm going to have to cut down as many people then, or I'm going to have to take off half an hour. Like, it's okay. But when you have your own mob doing it, like, can you come sister and do this? The thing we have to remember is that our old people didn't get paid for work.
Yep.
I know my great-grandparents did, and they got paid. A lot of our mob got paid in flour, sugar, tea, and tobacco. So
Yep.
them days are over. We can't keep asking each other to work for free like it's like nothing. You know,
Yeah,
of course we'll do those things at certain times, but if that's the expectation, if we can't expect to support each other financially in our businesses, we can't do that.
The flip side of that for me is like how great Indigenous business, First Nations business is going at the moment. So I looked up some stats. I actually did some research this time. I know,
Okay.
shock, surprise.
Okay.
But
Professor Nagus, okay.
black businesses are actually contributing to over $16 billion to the Australian economy now. That's wild when you think about.
Well, how come I got a tax bill? I don't
actually-
understand. What do you mean?
But black businesses are also employing around 120,000 people, and they're paying around $4 billion in wages. So that's not nothing considering we only make up 3% of the population.
Yeah.
Well, that's a massive contribution, which we have always done to this country. This place was built off the back of our lands and the back of our
Yes.
labor, and now we're just overachieving in the black business in the business space as well. But what's really interesting to me when I was doing this research is between 2016 and 2021. So you know what happened around 2019? The population of black people went up. And the population, the sector growth in the black business industry increased by more than 50%.
Jesus.
Nearly 50% growth in those 5 years.
So can we just make that real clear for everyone listening? People coming out of the woodworks, identifying as black fellas, maybe for the first time in their whole lives, have ticked that box. And then they're like, I'm going to start a business. And that's how I get the stats. Like when I've just, okay. Yep.
Yeah. And what's probably sad for me is as black fellas, like we want mob to be able to identify and to be, proud of who they are and come out in that space. But during COVID, there was a lot of, and when I say a lot, this doesn't mean like thousands and thousands. We're not that many people, but there's a whole bunch of businesses that came out that were art businesses. So we're in lockdown, we're at home, people are doing DNA tests and, all sorts of things. And
People were bored.
So they started drawing, started doing art, and then they had to make money because, there's a whole bunch of jobs that just weren't able to make money. And then, so there's been this boom in black business and specifically in the art space because Aboriginal art is beautiful and Aboriginal art is amazing and it's connected to this country for thousands and thousands of years. My worry about that is the authenticity of what we're doing and the whitewashing of people who may not actually be getting taught their traditional artwork and where are they getting that inspiration from and what contribution are they giving back to the community that they get that artwork from.
It's gone like crazy. I think you and I've talked about this in the past that when we were growing up, you'd see a black follow shirt every now and then. You'd see a tea towel maybe a cup, and it was like a big deal, to see like Aboriginal print or Aboriginal artwork on anything. And now you can get it on almost anything you want. Bed covers. We got people, getting partnerships with big corporate, homeware places, like hectic, right? Which is great. But like you said, where's that artwork coming from? And when it starts to become mass-produced stuff, I'm starting to see it as well, even in the weaving space,
really?
The weaving space, the dance cultural space. There's a lot of different areas now where it's starting, you just see these little pop-ups happening every second. I feel like we, in 2020, around that time that you're talking about, we got to remember that Black Lives Matter stuff happened with George Floyd, and then everything that was happening here in Australia and the marches, like that was so huge that, you had black people coming out of the woodworks left, right and center because all of a sudden it was cool to be black in 2020. Yes. I don't know if you remember that, but it was cool.
Yep.
All of a sudden. And because people were getting mass followings because these white influencers, these very prominent white influencers online, on Instagram, on everywhere else. We're giving them their platforms and elevating these Black voices, which was great. But what's happened then is that these people have gone on to have all these big deals. I've seen book deals now, and that there's all these little Black influencers cruising around. Like, good for you. You're making bank off it. Yeah. Now we have things like Supply Nation, there's procurement, there's all these sorts of things that are happening in our communities. Is it a good thing, or is it only just heading down a track that we can't catch up with? I don't know.
The positives are obviously the majority of Indigenous businesses are all small businesses, right? So, under 20 employees, which means that, there's people out there who are doing side hustles that, making a bit of coin. There are some people who are able to completely get away from the 9 to 5 and just, run that cultural business.
Which I envy, by the way. I wish I could do that. My business is not that deadly.
Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Like, you want something that's going to be able to set you up so you can actually just do that as your job, because you want to do what you love. And I love that there's a whole heap of cultural preservation happening in Indigenous business. So, like, you're teaching weaving, continuing that knowledge, and, you're not just teaching blackfellas, but you're continuing those practices that are being taught to you from your elders. And so there's a whole bunch of businesses that are doing really great work in educating Australia. Like, this is the true culture of who we are. Like, this is the real Australia here. But the flip side to that is when people just see it as a money making opportunity, and you've got people making up dances, and I've seen recently an educator business, and the dances and the songs they're doing. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this is not helping. You're whitewashing culture. The thing that I like about it is that obviously Black businesses are thriving is because Australia wants to know more. There've been 260 years now of them ignoring black fellas, but now because it got cool to be a black fella again, now all of a sudden people want to be that, and they're trying to engage with that better. So, places like Supply Nation, God bless them, they work with Reconciliation Australia, and they started from a great place, but do they actually have Black business and what's best for Black business at heart? Like, or would they even be here if there wasn't going to be a way for them to make money? That's the difference, because you'd still be weaving if you weren't going to make money from it. Yeah. All these other Black businesses, would you still be doing that work? Would you still be this passionate about it if it wasn't a commodity, if it wasn't a thing? So that's where I get a little bit gully about places like Supply Nation. It's a non-Indigenous space. They're not moving over to help blackfellas actually take control. So, while they're doing a great job of supporting Black business, it's a business opportunity for them. Blackfellas are a business, and I'll be honest, the multiple people are here with experiences of Supply Nation and how they have to prove they're a blackfella.
Oh man,
like it's degrading, and I understand that they need to go through checks because we don't want to have people being black clad, but also there has to be some point in place where it's like, you're non-Indigenous, like this needs to go to Black people now. Like, we need to have control of our own industry.
And for those that don't know what Supply Nation is, it is there for, I guess, businesses for procurement to look up Indigenous businesses and go, okay, well, I want to buy in and have something for my company or business, and I want to make sure that they're a Black business. It's basically a directory, but they are funded by government. So at the end of the day, they're funded by a government agency, and they, have reporting and all the rest of it on all of us. So I think, especially with my business, like I'm registered with Supply Nation for transparency. And look, like you said, there has to be some checks and balances, because you don't want just anybody saying that they're a Black business, because that's when black clouding happens. I think it happens a lot anyway through these websites, and I think a lot of people have actually called it out over the years as well. One of the first people to talk about this, that these businesses have like 50% Indigenous owned or 20%, whatever the stats have to be. Like I'm 100% Aboriginal owned, female, small business. That's it. One person, that's what you're going to get. But I think the thing that we're trying to say here when it comes to Blak Business is that people like you and I have grown up Black. We have the Black experience, the Black knowledge. Like when I stand up in front of people and I'm teaching weaving, I don't just stand there and go, okay, let's get into weaving. I'm telling a story. I'm telling where I learned my weaving from, why it's important, how we do it, when we did it, what we use. Like I'm teaching the art of it to hand down those stories and to remind people that this was a practice that in my family and others had to be revived because we weren't allowed to do it. So this is something that's embedded into my fabric now because it's my responsibility to keep this going. But I didn't just wake up Black tomorrow and decide I'm going to become a Blak Business and try to take these opportunities, and I'm going to try and do this and do that. And a lot of people are doing that, and that's the truth. Like that is the truth, especially with artwork. It is becoming so manufactured and people get called out on it. And I'm like, hey, that's not your style. That's them desert mob style. That's not yours. That's Yolngu mob. Well, that's over here. People just don't care. They really do. They're just out to get that money. And it's like, come on, you got to have some sort of boundaries and ethics when it comes to your culture.
Yeah. So if you don't know what black cladding is, it's basically just having a business that's not Indigenous, but then, having somebody on the board or having somebody in the leadership that is, and the ownership that is Black. So you can say you're a Blak Business. So
or having business. Black models on your website, but the owners of the business are white people. Do you know what I mean? Like this is what we're dealing with here. And it wasn't bad enough that like over in Bali, they mass produce, fake clapsticks, fake did, fake this, then that. And we've had really good lawyers like Terry Janke and others in our country that have looked at intellectual property rights for blackfellas and artwork. We need to hold each other accountable. We need to go and learn new styles. Learn and if you've learned from somebody else, give the props to that person. Yeah, people don't take ownership of it and make out that it's theirs and then go and sell it. Oh, come on now, knock it off. What upsets me is when like somebody who may have just found out they're blackfellas or that they've never painted in their life has all of a sudden picked up a paintbrush or they just started dancing or whatever it is, and they have no issues stealing somebody else's paint up or stealing somebody else's dance, stealing somebody else's dot painting or whatever it is, and won't take any accountability that they won't hear otherwise. So it's like, well, it's my culture and I'm allowed to learn it. No, that's not how you learn it. That's not how you do it.
We want you to learn culture, and part of learning culture is accountability.
And learn it from your own people. And I get like Stolen Generation has disrupted that. I think it's very important to say that, yes, but that doesn't mean that you can then just go, oh, well, Stolen Generation happened. I don't know, so I'm just going to do it this way anyway. Like, no, it's not okay to just pick up and go and steal somebody else's style and then make a business. People don't talk about it enough, or we do talk about it and no one wants to acknowledge it. It's just excuses.
I think the thing for me that irks my goat, and I want...
Sorry, did you say irks your goat?
Yeah, I stole that from a white person today.
Okay.
That really irks my goat.
I feel like it's gets up my goat. That's from Kath and Kim. You're really getting up my goat, Kim. So
don't tell me how to speak my language. What I really don't like is when like we're holding each other accountable, which is what we do, and then people are like, this is lateral violence.
It's lateral violence.
Like, it's not really lateral violence if somebody is saying, are you connecting in a culturally safe way? Yeah. Because the reason why it's important to understand that is like we're trying to create culturally safe environments. And if you're teaching, like the worst thing for me is, there's cultural experts who have only just found out they're blackfellas, but they don't acknowledge it. They just found out they're blackfellas. So the power of your experience being a newly identified blackfella is that you're part of the learning journey, and that's what you're teaching. But when you're pretending that you're an expert and you're pretending that you know what you're talking about without the lived experience and without acknowledging that you don't have lived experience, that's when it becomes dangerous. Because I know people who are in that space and, like some of the stuff that they say, I'm like, that's really not correct. Like, oh, that's lateral violence. But the realistic thing is like, we got to hold each other accountable because that's cultural safety.
Accountability is not lateral violence. I'll just say that again. Accountability is not lateral violence. It's really not. It's how we've been brought up. If you're a blackfella and someone pulls you up about something, especially an elder or someone who has knowledge about that thing, and they pull you up and go, here, listen now. What, and I've been pulled up plenty of times by people in my family, my elders, I've been pulled up, and we all grow up getting growled, and you can tell the ones who haven't been growled. You really can. They out here showing up. Yeah, brother. I don't know. Blak Business. It's a fine line. I'm at the point where I'm very picky about who I do workshops with, who I teach. And I've had to actually do disclaimers sometime. Well, I like to do a disclaimer to go, in good faith, we're all sitting in this room together today. I'm about to teach you some, cultural knowledge, and I'm going to hand down stories and techniques. And I'm going to give in good faith that everyone here understands that you're not going to go and take this and recreate this and then go and profit off it. It's unreal that we actually have to have that conversation. But
yes, exactly.
Our culture has been ripped off so much, but we are generous. We're trying to have that culture still going, like you said, but sometimes that is taken advantage of. And these mob who are newly identified, you need to sit down for a while. You need to listen and learn and just be on your learning journey before you even begin to step in that space. And call that lateral violence or call it truth. Up to you.
A DNA test does not mean you get to open a business. That's not how this works.
Yes. All right. I think it's time for a check-in, brother.
Let's check
after
in.
that, let's check in. Let's sit down, pretend there's two couches. One is my nice blue chair where my mission staffy is currently laying on. I'm going to upload the photo to social media so everyone can see how she is right now. You've never seen a more comfortable dog. She's currently laying on a hoodie of mine that is on the chair. And she's kicking back. So
she's comfortable.
One of those chairs in my room is that, and then you're going to have your own chair, whatever that looks like, and we're going to check in. We're going to just do a little.
Yes.
How's life for you, Nagus? What's going on?
Deep breathing. And I guess I wanted to do a bit of a check-in because, social media is crazy at the moment. Like I said, we've had a wild 12, 14 days.
Bruh.
We don't know if it's World War III and the robots are going to take us over. There's so many things to consider. And it's like, firstly, I wanted to ask the listeners, how you're feeling. I really hope that you're looking after yourself. Mental health is pretty important right now. And as blackfellas, if you're listening, we're heading into NAIDOC week. Black Christmas is also almost around the corner. So some of you are going to be working your Carlies off. But
bro, I'm working my Carly off. Don't you worry about that. I'm tired already thinking about NAIDOC week. But can't complain.
But it is a wild time, and I feel like with our generation, if you're one of the young ones like me or one of the old ones like Carly, we've been through some pretty crazy times. We've had the global pandemic, the global financial crisis. We've had, now we might be looking at the global war. So
I can't go, bro. You know what? We think about this the other day with the war. It's absolutely horrendous what's happening right now. It's really heavy for everyone and it's so complex. Like I'm not even going to pretend to know how to talk about this because I would never do it justice, but I and you are humans. We're humans. Yep. So, but Trump entering this war and kicking it off, and it's been a week, man. And then AI, we're gonna have jobs. What if AI starts taking over our voices? You and I, we're done.
That's why we got to be nice. That's why I say thank you, Uncle Chatty. Thank you, Uncle GPT. You're the best.
Because I told you what my chat GPT sounds like now. Hey, I got a chat. Yes. I made it a voice for those that don't know. I made my chat GPT. It's got a voice now, so I have like 4 yarns with it, and it's a he.
Of course.
Well, it's a man's voice. It's actually not a man. This is like. I freak out every day because I'm like, hey, and you can have full yarns with, like with Siri, sometimes you go, hey, Siri, and you go, tell me what the temperature is, and you have to talk like slow. With Chatty, you're like, hi, how you going? And Chatty's like, I'm good, thanks. How are you? Like immediately. And you're like, hey, can you pull up the stats for this and that and blah, blah, blah. And you can talk like this. And then next minute it's like, sure. And you're like, what do you mean? Siri is never this fast. Is Siri going to go? What am I going to do without Siri? I have so many questions, Nagus.
Like the good thing about crazy times like this is memes.
Oh,
and
the memes.
You shared a bunch of good ones. A few of the other sister girls on Instagram. I don't know where you find them, but
Oh, it's my
I don't see
algorithm. It's messed
yeah.
up.
The men's algorithms are totally different to women's because you've got like all the deadly memes, all the deadly what do we call videos? Because are they still
Reels.
memes?
No, they're reels.
Reels.
Yeah.
All the deadly reels. Like I'm watching like the men's ones, and they're all like serious or whatever, and then the ladies are like. I don't know whether to get an AI boyfriend, get a gun, or get a. It's just a completely different. I don't know how it's messed with our algorithms, but the
Man.
women have got the comedy sorted for the bad times, and
Yeah.
men aren't doing as well because we're being too serious with it, or they're ignorant ABCs, and you're like,
Yeah.
bruh, like
Well,
you know,
I think it says a lot about when you because I like prefer Instagram more than most things. I'm not a TikToker guy. Don't care about that. I'm on Facebook, but it's really just like for family and friends. My Instagram is like just my little happy place where I share the memes that I like, right? And the reels that I like.
Yeah.
And then when you open up in Instagram, you open up your thing, and it's like your discovery page of what's in your
the
algorithm.
search
And
page,
and it's suggesting all the things. In mine, can you take a guess at what maybe is in my algorithm? Like all the suggested, like
All right.
just top
All the
4
suggested
things for
ones.
me. Okay.
Okay, it's men with six packs.
How
funny
dare
memes,
you?
dogs,
Shit.
and
Am I that predictable?
maybe food or comedy.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. I've just opened up my Insta. I'll tell you what it
Yeah.
is. Okay, I've got Karen fights. So you're close on
Yeah,
Karen.
that's comedy.
I love that's comedy. I've got in here dogs, definitely. Rescue dogs is generally my thing. Number 1 on the list probably would be hot men with six packs, including Spanion. Shout out Lesage. And also comedy. Yep, comedy. And just and like the war stuff because I'm a bit fixated. So
Yeah.
that's what's
fair
going
enough.
on. What's in yours? Let me guess. Okay, wait.
Have
Let
a
me
guess, have a guess.
Okay, football. How to maintain a bald head.
You bitch. I don't need help. I don't maintain a bald head. Thank you very much.
Fitness. It'll be like some sort of like exercise tips or something for your fitness. I know you and the wifey are into your little fitness, and maybe like a CrossFitting situation or something. And I'm gonna say like black thing. Anything black is in yours.
You were close.
Come on, what do you got?
You obviously don't know how much I love LeBron James.
Oh, yeah, obviously basketball. Yeah.
Basketball is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Sport.
6,
I
7,
said
8.
sport. No, I said
9.
football.
No, you
damn.
said football.
Okay.
So my first 9 are just basketball
Really?
related.
Some
and
things
then
never change.
yeah, then you're right. Then it's black comedy. So the next one is that what's them black fellas from up north? Black as the ones out the bush and they
love
fix
those
it. So
fellas,
they're
yeah.
in there. And then it's comedy. So I love comedy reels, and
Same.
it doesn't even have to be like famous people. So
Yeah.
my almost my random ones that I see are like on Facebook, not really on Instagram, but when you go into little video bits of the Facebook one, it's just like random stand-up comedians just doing crowd work.
Yeah,
and I'll just
yeah.
sit there and just watch them.
Over and
Like
over.
scroll, and it's always like different comedians. I don't have like a preference of what if they're Australian or American, but yeah. So that's actually my I don't know if you call it FYP or whatever on Instagram, but
Right.
it's just mostly basketball, and then it's football.
This is what keeps us sane.
Yes.
As funny as dumb as it is,
Yes.
seeing dogs on Instagram and hot men with six packs, I'm only human. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
trying
I
to
hear
survive the world. Let
Yeah.
me have the real is all I'm saying.
Yes.
There's no babies in mine. Most women my age, they'd be like baby stuff. And you know what really irks me? Okay, can I just off topic? What really irks me on social media is when someone in my friends group, and you're probably going to do it now, goes
Yeah.
and likes a pregnant woman. And so then it's suggested to me that I should like pregnancy
Yeah.
photos. And then I get
Yeah.
pregnancy photos. I'm like, where did this pregnancy caper come from? And sometimes you
Yeah.
accidentally click on one and then your algorithm's like, hey, you want to see pregnant women? Here it is. And anyone who knows me knows I don't like a pregnant woman.
I love
like,
pregnant women. I like all them photos. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is beautiful. Blah, blah,
See,
blah, blah.
it's an actual thing for me. It's like a phobia. Like, and I know
Yeah.
this is dramatic, but like when I see a pregnant woman, it kind of makes me feel nauseous. It's not a thing. It's not a, the alarm clock for maternity is not going off. It's running away. It's a siren. So it's not, when I see it in my algorithm, I'm like it makes me want to be sick. But anyway, there's no shade to the pregnant women.
No shade to pregnant women. We love pregnant women. You're the one keeping us
Exactly.
alive as a human race, or else we'd be
I
relying on
look
Uncle
pregnant, but
ChatGPT.
this is the thing. I look pregnant. There's no baby in there. So good for you. You're actually growing something. So yeah.
You're growing alive. But yes, I guess the check-in was just a bit of a thing. Like, how do you deal with it? Like, what's your coping strategies for the hecticness that is life?
My thing is like, thank God I have weaving and like,
Yes.
and the podcast now, I get to talk about the things. Whereas I think a lot of people just see it on the news and they talk to their family about it. I just go like, oh, I get to talk to somebody about this and I'll do it on a platform. So I kind of get it out in this episode and then I move on with my life. You know what I mean? Like this is what I do every week. But the cost of living, brother, is really killing me, and I know a lot of other people. And like, let me just say, I've got it really, really good compared to so many other people. Granted, I've friggin' worked my whole off to try and, keep my head above water. It is, like I've got a rent rise again, like, bills coming out of my ring. And just as you think you get ahead, right, it's like, bam, here's another one. Like, this week, I got a friggin' electricity bill and then my rego at the same time. You're like, what do you think I am?
That's killer.
Who do you think I am? I just reply now to like the transport department. Like, who do you think I am? What do you want from me?
What do you want from me?
You want me to pay to drive around Aboriginal land? Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Racist. One of the funniest memes I saw was interested in polyamory relationships. I'm not poly.
Sorry.
I just got to pay.
Sorry, what?
It said, I'm interested in polyamory.
Oh my goodness. Go say it again. Go. That's a big one.
Interested in polyamory. Am I even saying that right?
Yeah, I think polyamory. You're just saying it slowly, so it sounds bad.
Polyamory relationships. I'm not actually poly. I just got to pay the bills, and three wages are better than two.
Oh no. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'd take my hat off to people because I couldn't even deal with one relationship, let alone multiple on the go. And boyfriends, girlfriends, and thems are very expensive. So I've heard.
Yep.
Couldn't tell you. Something that we did miss last week that I really want to tell everybody on the podcast that I'm very proud of. I've deleted the dating apps. So
that's right.
And I've gone a week.
That's how you're dealing with it. You've gone a whole. So wait, you haven't rejoined?
No, I've gone 1 week stone sober off the dating apps.
Off the dating apps.
I'm off. You said I wouldn't last. You said I would last. Nah.
That's a lie. She's just saying that because I was really supportive in last week's podcast.
Well, there's no recording to say so. So
exactly, that's why she's trying to run me down, folks. Don't listen to her. I was like, oh, you go, girlfriend. You be your deadly single self.
I can't. You know what? There's too much going on in the world, too much in my life, and I can't do low vibrational men on dating apps anymore. I can't do it. Okay.
I hear you.
If anyone out there is looking for a girlfriend, do not call me because
that's not where I thought we were going with that.
You thought I was going to do a pitch, didn't you?
Oh, she's going to pitch you out to the listeners.
No, I can't afford a boyfriend. They're too expensive.
That's the only reason why I can afford life.
Because you share it with somebody else.
I've got a partner.
Yeah, you share the expenses.
If it was just me, I'd be broke as a joke.
Brother, every guy I've ever dated. This is a check-in on a check-in. I feel like we're in counselling now. We're checking in, all right. Every guy I've ever dated has earned less than me.
Yeah, that's smart by them. That's what I did.
It's smart by them, but
rich woman.
I don't know how to attract a guy with money. How do you get that?
I don't know.
Yeah, wouldn't know. Couldn't tell you.
I mean, I know how I could attract a guy with money,
How?
Tall, black, delicious, bald man. Don't worry, I'll get him.
Oh, better neighbour.
I know how to catch him. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Look at it. I don't know they got no money, but anyway. I cannot help you.
Broke.
That's why I'm broke. Yes, I didn't know. So I don't know how to help find somebody with money.
No.
And I think the thing that we know is that most people who look like they have money don't have money anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I try and live like a broke mentality. Like, you know, if I've even got remotely some savings, I'm like, it's not there. It's pretending. I just don't have it because you just never know.
You never know.
But yeah, no, brother, I have, that's how I'm surviving right now. My check-in for the world is I got off the apps because that was not doing my mental health any good. No doubt I will re-download it again for the 650,000th time in sometime in the future, but not anytime soon.
Just to say hello and see who's back on there.
It'll be the same old hood rats. Don't you worry about that.
See which husbands are on there with no faces and which wives are out there looking for a female friend for them and their partner.
It'll be the same losers who ghosted me 6 months ago. Trust that. No difference. Or the same losers I ghosted 6 months ago. Who knows? But yeah, that's the check-in, brother. Who knows what's going to happen within a week? Next week when we check in on them yarns. Bloody hell. All right, bros. Well, I'll see you then.
Yeah, catch you. Yeah, well.
Sexual. Sexual.